Are you bothered by people kind of having this desensitization to violence in these videos, or do you not care?
He doesn't care.
Like, again, they shouldn't, but again, I don't know how to have this is like a real conversation. Like,
So you don't think people are becoming more violent or desensitized to violence because you're putting that out there?
American people will eventually figure this out, or not, and we'll all blow each other up, okay?
So I've been kind of disturbed to see, and I want to get both of your thoughts on this trend across TikTok and other platforms as well. You have this rise of users essentially using the audio of Charlie Kirk's assassination, of him literally dying, as a transition sound for outfits for prom and other things. So here's the headline: TikTok pulls all known viral outfit videos using Charlie Kirk assassination gunshot audio. But for a while, these were going viral and a bunch of young people were doing it. I want to play you guys a sample. I'll probably change out the music in post-production so it doesn't actually show the sound, but you guys will hear it and we'll discuss. Listen to this.
It's disgusting.
It's horrible. It's terrible. I see some conservatives on like Twitter trying to like find these young women and their names and cancel them and find where their parents work and get their college offers rescinded. And I don't support any of that because Blaire, my read on this is these women, or most of them, they're 16, 17, probably most of them are not like hard leftists who actually are glad Charlie's dead. They're probably people who are just totally desensitized, and it's been turned into a meme, and they've, had to do school shooting drills, and they've seen so much violence that they just didn't realize how profane that comes across and how insensitive and inhumane it comes off.
Right.
So I don't think they're all necessarily evil, but it concerns me that young people are this desensitized, Blaire.
Yeah, I would err on the side of they're just a couple young, dumb bitches who don't know the gravity of that. I do find it disgusting. I don't agree with like going and trying to ruin their lives or young women with the rest of their lives ahead of them. That's a bit much for me. But I think the point is proven partially by that, obviously, that people are super desensitized to it. I mean, we have a great example right here in Destiny. I mean, to be honest, like, obviously, the litany of things that you've said around political violence is indicative of the fact that you are yourself desensitized to it. I'm desensitized to it as well. I think we all are. Like, it's even in this last shooting and incident, it's weird. It's almost like despite the fact that I was physically near this last one, it still didn't shake me as much as like the first one when I was just seeing it on Twitter. So that's how I knew like, oh, wow, I'm way too used to that. But that's where it comes down to the only solution to that is the individual responsibility that everyone has as citizens, and then even more so as commentators, to lower the tone, to lower the pressure, to say like, hey, we can't go down this route, because when we go down this route, yeah, it's cringe to be talking about civil war and all this, but is this not how things like that start historically? They don't just start with everyone.
Would you acknowledge that Trump as the president, he never will, but he should lead by example on that?
Absolutely. And that's not difficult for me to say at all. Like the amount of things that Trump says that I, on a range from roll my eyes at to feel the need to publicly condemn, like it's a lot of things. I don't like, the way he disrespects, Christianity often in his words. I don't like the way that he will dehumanize Democrats, as much as I am not a fan of Democrats. Like, absolutely. But the difference is, I'm not going to pretend as if only Donald Trump's words matter, as if citizens on a regular everyday level don't matter, and then even more so commentators who are speaking to hundreds of thousands to millions of citizens.
Destiny, are you bothered by people kind of having this desensitization to violence in these videos, or do you not care?
He doesn't care.
Like, again, they shouldn't, but again, I don't know how to have this is like a real conversation. Like, if you
I mean, maybe you're dissociating or maybe you're like going through it, but it's a real conversation.
It's not. This is not a real conversation, okay?
Okay.
So,
well, then why are you here?
Because I love and respect Brad.
Okay.
Well, I appreciate
Well, then you shouldn't say that the conversation that he set up isn't real. Sure. He set the conversation up, so have some respect.
Eventually, the American people will eventually figure this out, or not, and we'll all blow each other up, okay? When streamers are fighting, or when you're a YouTuber or an influencer, if I were to turn on my stream today and I were to start making a whole bunch of sexist or racist jokes, then I think that eventually my community would become racist and sexist. They just would. You can see it immediately. And when a streamer ever gets called out for the behavior of his audience, people will very quickly look. Yeah, I know it's hard to explain how the real world works.
So you don't think people are becoming more violent or desensitized to violence because you're putting that out there? You just acknowledge that if you were being racist, your audience would turn racist.
Correct, but I'm not generally making like I'm pretty careful with my community. We talk a lot about political violence. We talk a lot about what our stances are on it. Believe it or not, my community watches my stream. They don't just watch the 20-second clips that you guys get off to when you see them on Twitter floating around. Because I do think a lot about that. Because when I see a shooting happen, one of the first things that I think about as a content creator is, how would I feel if this guy came from my community? Would this be a happy thing for me, or would I be like, ooh, I don't really like that? And basically, every single time I've seen one, or every single time I've seen one, I wouldn't want this person to cover my community. So we usually do talk about it. There are jokes that I've made in the past. I know that you guys love to clip or whatever. There's one where I'm running around in like Modern Warfare 3 or whatever. I don't know, some battle royale game where I say something like, we got to genocide all conservatives, blah, blah, blah. And I know that the conservatives have been running around with this one recently. This clip is 7 years old. Nobody was killing each other for political violence back then. I would make that same joke.
Well, it's like edgy gamer talk. You didn't mean that literally.
Correct, but I wouldn't make that same joke right now because people are literally politically assassinating each other. That's just not a joke that I would make right now. Like, oh yeah, we should go kill all. I just wouldn't, because I would be uncomfortable with it. Because if somebody kills somebody, in 2 weeks, I don't know if that comment would be the thing that sent them off. That being said, again, there's going to be a predictable response when the guy at the top is constantly making jokes about it, is constantly inciting and stoking the flames of political tensions here and abroad, constantly engaging in violent speech in the most unhinged manner possible, such that, like, when you look at the environment around, it's like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, what are you going to do? Like, shit is like, nobody would go in every other part of the world where people are adults. You recognize this. A manager doesn't go to a shift and then look at this employees messing around and go and correct every single employee. You fire the supervisor. You say, why aren't you controlling your shift? Nobody looks at any culture and says every single individual in that culture needs to hold themselves responsible. You look at the huge motivating and influential factors. And right now, Donald Trump is a person who loves violence. He loves it, and he bathes in the attention related to it. And it's just amazing and exciting and awesome for him. So why would you expect the culture to look any different?
But so I don't deny for a second that he is a massive cultural influence, but I feel like you ascribe almost a totalizing power to him when a lot of these phenomenon have been playing out over the last 10 years, including when, like, Joe Biden was president. And,
what are all of the insane political violent things that you think would have been inspired by I feel like the joke was that these were
I didn't say inspired by Biden, but I was saying that the unhinged nature of things and the desensitization to violence and all that, it didn't just start November or January to when Trump was first inaugurated for a second term.
Inaugurated for a second term?
Yeah.
No, I agree with that, but I think that when you look at Nixon, okay, and you look at is it the Saturday Night or Friday Night Massacre when he started firing everybody? The reason why Nixon did that was because Nixon was operating prior to that as though he was a criminal. He thought that he broke the law. He thought that he was going to get completely fucked up for it, and he started firing people because he didn't want the consequences. And then when he resigned because he thought he was going to get impeached, and then Ford pardoned him because he knew he was being criminally investigated. That was the expectation back then. Today, Donald Trump acts as though the law doesn't apply to him. And when you look at things like, say, I don't know, conservatives hate to talk about it, but look at like January 6th, what was the expectation there? That as long as we're doing things for Daddy Trump, everything's going to be okay. And it was. He pardoned all of those people. So when you have a president who's giving a pass to people to be violent in his name, and then we're like, why are people being violent in the United States? Yeah, obviously. What do you mean? That's like, no shit.
I mean, that's a valid point. That you send a terrible message when, for example, Trump specifically pardoned in his pardons for January 6ers, Blaire, included people who violently attack cops. You are sending a terrible message.
And the difference, then the difference I would just like to highlight here is, I'm not sitting here saying that Trump is not guilty of inciting things. The difference is the other person here on the panel thinks that only Trump's word matters, so much so that he can't even have a conversation about culture in general, the temperature in general. It's all ascribed to just Donald Trump, which is as delusional as the people that worship Donald Trump as the, end and all be all of goodness. People who ascribe only that the world is just completely screwed because of Donald Trump, people are only doing bad things because of Donald Trump, that's just as delusional to me.
So I want to bring in the next story here that relates to this, is that the Trump administration is actually trying to indict former FBI director James Comey.
You mean indicted, right?
Well, they did indict him. You're right. Yeah, no. And they're actually trying to make this a thing. This all traces back to an Instagram post where he had posted seashells that spelled out 8647. Here is a clip of Acting Attorney General Todd Blank describing this indictment and why they pursued it.
District of North Carolina returned an indictment against James Comey on 2 counts. The first count is that on or about May 15th of last year, he knowingly and willfully making a threat to take the life of and to inflict bodily harm upon the President of the United States. Count 2, same day, May 15th, 2025, that the defendant, James Comey, knowingly and willfully transmitting in interstate commerce a communication that contained a threat to kill the President of the United States. Both of these counts carry a maximum term of imprisonment of 10 years.
So where I'm coming from on this is I think it's insane. I think it's a crazy indictment. I do agree we should all try to tone down our rhetoric. Yes, the president, but also everyone. And the whole 8-6 thing is ambiguous enough that I understand why, for example, Comey took down the post and said he didn't mean to convey violence. And like, I wouldn't be out here saying that right now. But it also, like in the restaurant industry and even just in the Merriam-Webster dictionary, has a clear nonviolent definition as well of just remove or get rid of. So it doesn't meet the legal standard of a true threat, not even particularly close. You just have them prosecuting their political enemies for like Instagram posts they don't like that are objectively, at least in my opinion, First Amendment of protected expression. I don't know. Stephen, do you worry about getting indicted next? Are you going to be posting 8647 just to bait them? Or
are you in the wake of the Charlie Kirk shooting, that conservative clip that Blaire has seen, clipped by other conservatives, went mega viral. My YouTube got demonetized over it, and there was a report in the, I think it was called I don't know, it was like the Minnesota Tribune, but apparently there was a person sitting behind, I think it was Stephen Miller, texting either Vance or the White House Chief of Staff. I think it was Vance, and I think Vance was talking about how they were looking to indict they wanted to indict 2 Florida influencers for comments made about Charlie Kirk. I'm like 95% sure that one of those 2 would have been me. So yeah, it's a thing that I worry about, but I mean, conservatives are never going to say anything about it. You know, it's all just kind of like memes and jokes, and the president has the right to indict whoever he wants. So yeah, I mean, it's a horrible, I don't know what other commentary I could have on that. It's a horrible thing.
I've actually seen a fair number of legal conservatives, even both the Fox News legal analysts, Andy McCarthy and Jonathan Turley, both came out swinging against this. So it will fall apart, but it's stuff like this where, Blaire, I mean, you and I both came up in an era of Republican politics where it was all about free speech, all about the First Amendment. I feel like they turned against that a lot quicker than I expected.
Yeah, I'm not on this train of like, we got to get him for the 86, 47, whatever. I don't think it meets the legal standard of a death threat or even an incitement of violence. I think it's, you know, again, on a personal level, I would not post something like that right now, maybe even ever, because I also grew up like, you probably remember, you're on the same age as me, like there was also a time where like if you even kind of said anything that could be remotely misconstrued as a threat against the president, it was kind of seen as like, be really, really careful. And that's like really kind of loose now. So I don't agree with the indictment. I don't like it personally.
Yeah, and I also think it's just too difficult to ignore the partisan hypocrisy of like Jack Posobiec said 8646 about Joe Biden, and he's not getting.
I didn't even know that. Yeah, and that's and I will say also, you know, I would rather see people, you know, Epstein's associates indicted before this. Like, there's a lot of people I would rather see time and resources spent on going after than this. So, don't like it.
Yeah. Well, I do just think it sends a totally contradictory message that we're going to be going after our enemies. It's our turn now, and especially when they campaigned against the weaponization of government, feels like they've done a lot of that.